Okay, so imagine this. We're like digital archaeologists, and we've just stumbled upon a busted hard drive, a time capsule. The thing is, we have no idea when it's from. All we've got are these few totally disconnected files, a budget spreadsheet, some old legal document, and a history of wars that, well, they haven't even happened yet. So our job today, we're going to see if these random fragments actually tell one single story. Let's see if we can piece this puzzle together.
All right, here's our first artifact. It's a legal filing. You can see the date, April 26, 2016, from what these future folks called the Old World. I mean, just look at it. The formatting, the names, all that legalese. It's like a perfectly preserved ghost from our time. A conflict just frozen. Keep this one in the back of your mind.
And then we find this. Just a single line from a simple text file. Walmart, weekly hours, 21. That's it. No context. No backstory. Just a raw little piece of data from somebody's life. We just went from a big federal court case to the reality of a part-time job. How in the world are these two things supposed to be connected?
And just to make things even weirder, a third file has this phrase, the rotational null seat. What does that even mean? It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi novel, or maybe some bizarre political theory from way, way in the future. So these three things, there are puzzle pieces. So that's the big question, isn't it? A 2016 lawsuit, a note about working at Walmart, and this, cryptic future term. How do they link up? It seems totally impossible. But here's the thing. Buried in all this data is a key, a single thread that ties the whole thing together. So let's start digging. Okay, so we're going to start with the file that feels, the most familiar to us. It's a personal budget, just a snapshot of someone's life. And this is where we find our very first real clue, a date that's about to become the cornerstone for this entire wild timeline. And there it is. The budget kicks off on November 1st, 2025. You can see the details, an hourly wage of $17.50 at Walmart, a little bit of money, $10 from Dad Weekly, and a buy now, pay later debt for over $100. I mean, this isn't just numbers on a screen. This is a real life. It's specific, it's grounded, and it's happening in 2025. And bam, this is the moment it all just snaps into focus. In that super dense, kind of bizarre future history file, we find this sentence. A key figure, this guy named Neil Vonham III, was born in 2025 AD in the Old World, the exact same year as our budget. All of a sudden, that boring little file isn't just a budget anymore. It's an origin story. And this timeline really puts it into perspective. Right here in 2025, our story kicks off. And from this one really humble starting point, this whole future history just unfolds over centuries. You've got a flash republic, a totally devastating hyperwar, and something called the pedal state. That simple budget file? It's the seed that this entire future grows from. Wild. Okay, now for our next piece of evidence. And you're not going to believe this, it's a file full of organic chemistry notes. At first, it seems completely random, but this isn't really about chemical reactions. It's about the philosophy, the core ideas that are going to drive centuries of war and innovation. This is their blueprint for belief. So the main idea is this thing called activation energy. In chemistry, it's like the energy hump you have to get over to make something happen, right? The barrier to change. Well, the people who wrote these files took this scientific idea and just applied it to everything, to society, to politics, to war, to progress itself. And this quote right here from something they call the Venom Doctrine, yep, named after our guy Neil Vonham, it shows you exactly how they thought about it. War isn't just about destruction. To them, it's an experiment, a brutal, horrible way to force society over that activation energy barrier and spark innovation, no matter the cost. And this whole philosophy basically splits their world in two. You've got function in the West, totally obsessed with growth, motion, change. And then you have form in the East, which is all about structure, precision, order, a technocracy versus a meritocracy. They're not just rivals, they see themselves as opposing forces in this giant planetary chemical reaction, each one trying to shape what comes next. So we've got the philosophical blueprint laid out. Now we get to see the history it ignites. We're about to watch how this tension between function and form just explodes into a conflict that reshapes what it even means to be human, pushing the survivors to the very, very edge of the solar system. This is how the hyperwar escalates. It starts as this 21-year long burn, slow and grinding.
But then it just accelerates like crazy. A war fought in fractured time, a war that literally sets the planet's atmosphere on fire. And it all leads to the Flashfall, a final, devastating conflict that lasts only 2 hours. 2 hours.
In the aftermath, the survivors who followed function, the ones obsessed with progress, they build the Flash Republic. And this quote, wow, it reveals their whole new mindset, and it is chilling. It's a society that has lost everything, but sees that loss as just the cost of progress. Empathy is a waste of time. Efficiency is the only thing that matters.
But for every action, there's a reaction, right? This obsession with raw function leads to this counter-movement. Humanity starts to ditch its physical form, seeing the body as just a limitation, a story that can be unwritten. They become beings of pure energy, pure information. It's the ultimate win for form over the messy, inefficient reality of having a body.
And this is where they finally end up. In the Oort cloud, way out at the edge of the solar system, they create a new kind of society. They've moved beyond the whole function versus form conflict. The goal isn't to build or perfect anymore. It's just to nurture, to grow. Okay, so let's bring it all back. We started with these little broken pieces from our own time, and we followed them into this distant, almost unrecognizable future. So the last step here is to see how the mundane, everyday reality of our world becomes the mythology, the ancient history of theirs.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly. Our concept of money, the US dollar, becomes mana orbs and raindrop beads, currencies literally made of matter and energy. Our written constitution transforms into a set of living amendments of growth that can evolve like plants, and the whole idea of a nation-state is replaced by the Garden Republic. Our reality is literally their myth. And we're going to end on this final, pretty haunting line from their living constitution. On one level, yeah, it's about composting, about ecology, but it's also about history. It means that everything we are, our struggles, our part-time jobs, our lawsuits, all of that becomes the soil for a future we can't even begin to imagine. What we bury, what we leave behind, that's what nourishes them. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are we burying for them right now?